What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. Drake continues to try to be innovative. With his latest project, More Life, he gives it the inaccurate label of being a playlist. And so that led to everybody thinking that this is going to be a couple new Drake songs and then music that Drake likes. Exclusives from some of his close, artist friends. And so that's what the notion was. Essentially, this is a Drake album without being labeled as such. The only reason I can conclude that it would be labeled as a playlist is because Drake takes a lot of different genres on this album, on this playlist, however you want to word it. I'm going to probably say album a lot more than I will playlist, but nonetheless, a playlist is essentially a bunch of songs from different genres. Not all playlists, but in Drake's case, it's like he's exploring different genres and it plays out more as a playlist, I guess, if that's what he was going for. I don't know. The whole idea behind calling it a playlist is probably something that stems from being behind the scenes versus being public knowledge. After Nothing Was the Same, Drake said that he was going to go the shorter route, that he enjoyed making a shorter album, something that was more concise. However, we saw that with these last two albums, Views and More Life, they turned out to be some of his longest projects to date. I think I get why, but I also don't. On one end, you know that Drake is going to get those streams. And I think that's what he wants the most. He wants all of the streaming. He wants all the awards. He wants to shatter down glass doors. That's what he wants. And so adding more songs means that more people are going to listen to his music, which means he's going to chart higher, which means he's going to get more money and break more streaming records. So I get on one end that's probably what he's going for. But nonetheless, an hour and 22 minutes is just a lot for one artist. To listen to that much music from an artist on a daily basis or even back to back to back, that's a lot of music. Honestly, I really hope that this is the last 20 plus song project from Drake. If anything, these longer albums have shown that Drake has a range as an artist. You can say whatever you want about the ghostwriting, about Jack and Styles and flows, but you can't deny that Drake doesn't do whatever he's doing on a top level. He's going and doing different genres, and any artist can do that. Any artist can go and say, I'm going to make a rock album, I'm going to make a country song, I'm going to do a dance hall record, but that doesn't guarantee success. Drake, whether I like every song or not, whether you like every song or not, has been able to create on a high level and be successful in multiple genres on the same albums. And he does that yet again on More Life. If anything, this is kind of like Views Part 2, but instead of being like on that same level, he stepped it up. In a way, I think this is kind of a response to like the criticism from Views. Not to say that More Life is perfect, but More Life definitely takes a lot of the aspects of Views and makes them better. Now let's get into some of my favorite songs. Free Smoke. This right here is one of the finest instances of Drake rapping on More Life. It starts the album and the concept is simple. It's rap dominance. This guy is saying, I'll wrap circles around you, you don't want to go at me. The only flaw with this record is that he's still taking shots at Meek Mill. And this is not the only song on the album that takes shots at Meek Mill. He takes shots at Meek Mill throughout the album, at Tory Lanez. And I'm just like, why? You're beating a dead horse. Stop it. I get that the concept is dominance, like I said, but there is a way to do it without having to backpedal in a sense. Like, we get it. You won against Meek Mill. You won against Tory Lanez. He's still throwing shots at Jay-Z as well, and I can't say that he beat Jay-Z because it really hasn't turned into anything. It's just a subliminal fest. Oh, you said something, now I'm going to say something, and now I'm going to respond, etc., etc. And so I don't have a problem with the Jay-Z shots because it's still going on. It still doesn't feel like it's stale. But this is like Drake just like continually jabbing a dead body. And at some point it's like, why are you doing that, Drake? Please stop. Other than that though, Free Smoke is great. From the beat to the flow, all of it is banging. I think when Drake raps this way, minus the shots, we all win. The next song on my favorites list is Teenage Fever. Jennifer Lopez was rumored to be on More Life, but for whatever reason, more than likely the breakup between Drake and J-Lo, she's not on a record called Get It Together. That was the song that she was rumored to be on. And so she's not on the album until you get to Teenage Fever. Then you get a sampled version of her on the hook from the record that she had, If You Have My Love. And so I liked it. I was really vibing out to that sample. And that is part of what makes Teenage Fever such a good song. Not only that, but Drake kind of comes down to earth. I like when he does these reflective R&B songs. He's going from one love to the next. And he's highlighting like the early encounters, the first time that they're hanging out and meeting and what's on his mind. Teenage Fever is pretty simple in concept. It's not really over the top, and it's also one of the most relatable songs on the album. The last record that I wanted to highlight in my favorites is Lose You. If there was ever a time where I would use the word classic after listening to something a few times, it would probably be on Lose You. This is the Drake that we all know and love. That honest Drake. And it produces some of the best, most honest lines from him. I think this song is where we as listeners really connect to Drake. Like, his rapping is cool, but I've always felt like I enjoyed the R&B stuff a little bit more because it is something that I can connect to. Drake, even though he's like this huge megastar, he hasn't found love. And in a sense, I haven't found love, so I kind of relate to that. And even though his scenarios are vastly different, I'm not dating supermodels and, R&B singers, but I can still find value in what he's saying. Also on Lose You, you have the voicemail at the end from his mom. And I think Drake really needs to listen to his mom. She talks about how he sounded so angry in his recent raps. And he does. He sounded like somebody who was like in fear of his position. And he still sounds like that when he raps a little bit on More Life. And so I really think that Drake needs to take that step back, listen to his mom, and not respond. Take the high road. What was her quote at the end? She said, "When others go low, we go high." And that is some good advice to live by. Next, I want to highlight a few honorable mentions. And since this is a longer album, I felt like I had to highlight a couple more than just like one or two. So, Blem. I like Blem. Not a big fan of the term, but the music sounds good on there. Galchester. Again, I don't know what the hell that word means. And that's like, and it's kind of like a lot of Drake stuff. Like, I had to look up what Free Smoke was. Because if I didn't look it up, then I would have been like, who is Smoke? Why is he saying Free Smoke? But it's definitely not about that. You can go look it up and find out what it means. And so Galchester was a nice record. 4422, which is a solo by Sampha. This is beautiful. If Drake was on this, I think it would have been just an amazing record. Because I know Drake probably had some interesting things to say that relates to the concept of trying to build a relationship and then watching someone demolish it. And that's what 4422 is all about. It's a really deep record. Lil Wayne was on that too. He popped up in the intro, and I had to talk about this real brief. He said, "I'm here to talk about More Life." And then we didn't hear from him again. I'm wondering why Drake kept that, because it's like, did he not listen to that and interpret it the same way? Like, Wayne is not talking about More Life. Wayne doesn't show up at all. I thought Wayne was going to have a verse on this at the very least. And maybe he does. Maybe it just got cut. I don't know what the whole idea was behind it. But nonetheless, Lil Wayne is on there in the intro, pops up. 4422 is a really great record. And the last one is the outro, Do Not Disturb. And this one it's up there with a lot of Drake's introspective stuff. Now let's talk about the bad. And I know this section might ruffle some feathers, but we all have different opinions. We all have different tastes musically. And so Portland has to be on my list. It features QUAVO and Travis Scott. I guess flutes are the thing right now. You had Future, Mask Off has some flutes on it, and then Portland has some flutes. And so I'm wondering if that is why people are liking it so much, because flutes are suddenly back in style on hip-hop songs. Nonetheless, though, this doesn't feel like a Drake song. This feels like a Quavo and Travis Scott record that they threw to Drake, and Drake was like, yeah, I'll use it. The next song I'm talking about is KMT featuring Gigs. KMT stands for Kiss My Teeth. It's a Jamaican term. And this is the song that got that, that Triple X Tentacruel rapper all mad, saying, oh, he stole my flow, which he definitely didn't steal from Lil Uzi Vert. Anyways, it wasn't worth all the fuss because the song, in my opinion, it sucks. Does the beat knock? Hell yeah, the beat goes hard. But Drake and Gigs really aren't saying anything. I guess this is maybe a better record for like a club atmosphere because obviously you're not going to get anything deep out of them. You're not going to get any lyrics that really warrant you to rewind it to really listen. You're listening for the beat. That's where the whole record succeeds. But if we're judging it overall, I don't think that KMT is a really good record. The last record that I wasn't really feeling is Since Way Back. It features Party Next Door. As much as I've tried, I've listened to all 3 of his albums, and I've listened to the songs that he's done with Drake. I just can't get into Party Next Door. And so, whenever he's on a song with Drake, I'm just like, I can't get into it. I just can't. And that's really, I think because of that, because he's on the hook and he's one of the first things that you hear on the record, that it kind of prevents me from really getting to know the verses. Drake could be saying some amazing stuff on the verses, but I felt like I really checked out hearing P&D's hook. Drake said at the end of Do Not Disturb that he plans to take a break. I think that's a wise decision. Drake needs that break because he needs to give us the opportunity to miss him. We got so much from him in the last year. I mean, very few artists are giving their fans 40 plus songs. Like, that's 42 songs amongst Views and More Life. And that's not even counting some of the other random loose records like Sneakin' featuring 21 Savage that didn't make More Life. But we have those records. So it's over 42 records from Drake in just the span of a year. And that's a lot of music from any artist. I think More Life is what Views was supposed to be. What Drake wanted Views to be is how he was able to do it on More Life. And so it makes sense for him to take the break and figure out, okay, what's my next step? Because I don't want another More Life. I don't want another Views. I don't want another 22-track album from him. I want something new and innovative. And I think that's important as an artist to do something like that. While I think the playlist is entirely too long, I do accept the flaws. Someone will like the music that I don't like. And there are songs that I really like on this album that people don't like. So at the end of the day, it's More Life, it's more wins. So those are my thoughts on Drake's playlist titled More Life album, however you want to classify it. Once you listen to it, which you probably already have because that was the talk of the internet on the weekend, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. And then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video. Follow me on Twitter at SermonsDomain. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching. And until next time, peace.